Hello, everyone. This is Giulio Coraggio. I'm the location head of the Italian Intellectual Property and Technology Department at DLA Piper, Italy. This is the podcast Diritto Digitale. I'm really happy to have here my US colleague, Ron Plesco, from the Philadelphia office. Ron Plesco has over 20 years of experience in advising clients in relation to cyber attacks. Is running our cybersecurity practice, and he has tons of experience in how to deal with threat actors, how to get companies prepared to an attack, and how to react to an attack. Ron, welcome here, and thanks for accepting my invite.
Well, one, it's an honor to accept your invite. It's great to be here right before the holiday season. So happy holidays to everyone if they're seeing this before the holiday season. And I really look forward to our discussion. And thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I think, Ron, it's not a coincidence that you mentioned the holiday season because we know that threat actors are ready to leverage situations where organizations are less prepared, and definitely the holiday season is the best moment. Is that right?
Yeah, no, it's unfortunately for the men and women that do what we do for a living. I can tell you that I've never had an interrupt. I've always had an interrupted holiday, whether it's Thanksgiving in the United States, Christmas, all of the holidays get interrupted for the exact reason that you just said. The threat actors tend to use those times to attack our clients, to attack corporations, because they know that the staffing levels, personnel allocation to those clients will be less. The other thing that I heard, and I agree with the other day, I was talking to some FBI agents and some British law enforcement as well. Yeah. And we're convinced that in the months of October and November, especially early November, the threat actors increase ransomware attacks and other type of attacks that make them money because they need to make money, additional money to go Christmas shopping or holiday shopping themselves. So I thought that was pretty novel. And then I put that to the test research-wise, and also put it to the test during ransomware negotiations. And we're talking to the bad guys, to the threat actors, and they admit that they are trying to make money to, like you or I, we want to buy our loved ones nice gifts. They're just stealing money to buy nice gifts. So I thought that anecdote was pretty funny, to be honest with you, and unfortunate. So absolutely,
yes. Can you give us a snapshot on where we are in terms of cyber risk? I mean, we know that cyber threat actors are a kind of industry and legal industry, but they are very well organized and they are evolving with the evolution of technology and so on. What trends do you see at the moment in the cybersecurity market?
It's such a broad question. Yeah, it's such a broad question when we only have a handful of minutes. So let me back into it this way. Look, I've been doing this for over 20 years, whether it's cyber response, hands-on keyboard, forensics, myself. Though I am an attorney, I have a heavy technical background and ran teams that did forensic response. Also supported government agencies in active network defense and prevention of attacks, as well as Fortune 20. Worldwide. So with that, and another side note, helped stand up, co-founded a global intelligence sharing nonprofit that works with law enforcement intelligence, dozens of countries and hundreds of corporations that share cyber threat intelligence. Okay. So when I answer this question, it's through that backdrop. I'm very active still in that nonprofit. I work with all the threat intelligence vendors that sell and commoditize cyber threat intelligence worldwide. So that's the setup to why you're listening to a lawyer answer this question. So let me break it down this way. In my 20-year history, I've never seen it as bad as it is right now. Wow. And so I think that's because of a couple of reasons. First and foremost, we reached an inflection point with Russia's invasion of Ukraine that took place, in that inflection point for the first time since the fall of the wall, the Berlin Wall, had put Russian organized crime at odds against Eastern European organized criminal threat actors, cyber organized criminal threat actors. So what I'm saying is Russian organized crime and cyber Eastern European organized crime that do cybercrime used to work together right after the fall, right after the invasion. For nationalistic reasons, a lot of the Eastern European organized criminal groups went against Russia or Russia as a nation state, as well as Russia organized crime for their invasion. And so what that caused was Russia, the government, to start utilizing their cyber access operations, meaning they penetrated networks worldwide, selling that access out the back door to Russian organized crime. So they might have broke into a company 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago. They then sell that access to Russian organized crime to use to do ransomware, to use data extortion or other types of campaigns. That's one thing. The other thing that's happened since then is the Russian threat actors, Russian organized crime threat actors, are being given and are being usurped or utilized by the nation state for actions against any company that supports Western countries that are supporting Ukraine. And when I say that they're assisting them, they're giving them cyber weapons to actually use to direct attacks at those type of companies. So that's one thing that's taken place. And the other backdrop that's taken place recently, unfortunately, because of the terrorist attack that we saw from the Gaza Strip into Israel, is you have Syrian and Iranian organized criminal groups funded by a nation state, and also those nation states themselves, more Iran, going after any country and corporations in those countries that support Israel's defense of themselves and their invasion of Gaza to get rid of these terrorists. So with that, now you have all of that taking place as a backdrop. The other set of issues you have is the utilization of artificial intelligence by threat actors. And so I'm going to break that down in a moment as well, too. But for the uninformed in this audience, just think of it this way: as corporations adapt, they believe that they're adapting and bringing in engaging with latest technologies, artificial intelligence platforms, etc. Threat actors have already done that, and the reasons are many. One, they have the money. Two, they don't have the bureaucracy. They don't have the challenges in acquisition. Three, it's all about for them utilizing that to make more money. And so we had about 5 or 6 years ago, threat actors moved to a platform economy where they diversified all of their services and would sell it off those platforms. So, for instance, money laundering, movement of cash worldwide, hosting of data. Hosting of data that you steal, that they steal, etc. Ransomware as a service, data extortion as a service. All those offerings are being offered on an underground platform, if you will, by different threat actor groups. And those threat actor groups have names, or we, the research community and law enforcement, names them names. So if you think about that, there's diversification of services against a backdrop of nationalistic issues taking place because of the two wars that are taking place right now and all that weaponry being utilized. It's a perfect storm that we're seeing right now for targeting and penetration of our clients' networks and theft of their data. So that's a high level related to what we're seeing. What does that mean to everyone in the audience? It means, of course, we're going to have what I call commoditized organized criminals still doing what they do: ransomware, data extortion, frauds, business email compromise, etc. However, they're using cutting-edge technology, their cyber weapons, to get into networks. They're also utilizing the latest 0 days, O days to get into those networks as well. We're now seeing the use of artificial intelligence to craft messaging. So just as we would use ChatGPT and other great artificial intelligence tools to craft our own messaging, to do storyboards, etc., they're doing the exact same thing, more towards social engineering and targeting through social engineering their targets. So, for instance, if their target is a corporation like DLA Piper, they would do their research, open source research using artificial intelligence. Tell me everything we know about DLA Piper, who's the chair in EMEA, who's the chair in the United States, who are their leading attorneys, what are their emails, and then they would package specific targeted spear phishing attacks that are very well informed related to those individuals. So that's, in a nutshell, at a very, very high level, what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it transpires from what you said that there is a very structured strategy behind a cyber attack. So the collection of information and then the attack. So it's not that these threat actors randomly hit companies, because they are aware that their victims are more prepared and they need to be more structured and more detailed even in the attack. So, Ron, you and I advise many companies not only in the reaction to the cyber attack, but also in being prepared and minimizing the impact of the cyber attack, being aware that there is no organization, maybe on the planet, that can avoid any sort of cyber attack. You need just to reduce the effects on your organization. What are the priorities, in your view, to get prepared to a cyber attack?
Yeah, it's a great question. So from a preparation standpoint, it's I think it's first and foremost know your attack surface and know your business. And when I say that, it might just seem very simplistic. And when I say that, let me unpack what I mean. It's as you as a company exists on the internet to be able to do what you do, realize all the connections that you have to the world that can be exploited by threat actors, email, open firewalls for certain things. So when I say attack surface, what I mean is it's no different physically than a building that you might work in. Where threat actors would do recon around that building, look for cameras, look for entry points, exit points, windows, things such as that. That's a physical world attack surface to a building that you might be in. That analogy applied to cyber threat is the same. What is the attack surface? How is your network set up? That's one, know that. Two, understand your business well enough to know what information assets you have in place that threat actors would want to commoditize, make money off of. And so that's not as simple as you might think, because unless you know this world, you would think, well, most companies think, well, we don't do e-commerce, we don't have credit card data, therefore we're not a target. It's not necessarily that simple. Really, you are a target for the very fact that you're a corporation that makes money. That's number one. Two, the information assets that you have that could be commoditized or sold by threat actors include your HR data, your employee data. This is PII, personal identifiable information. All of that, there's a black market for. Secondly, all information related to your financials, there's a black market for, especially if you're publicly traded. There's a black market for your pre-release of your financials if you're publicly traded. Your intellectual property, of course, there's a black market for that. There's a large black market that sells and deals in and will sell services around going after a corporation to steal its intellectual property. And very unscrupulous corporations worldwide will use those services to steal your plans to make a product so they can make the product themselves. So there's that piece. The other pieces are how you pay your bills, your account receivables, to figure out how you do wire transfer. All of that is of value to threat actors. And so you need to understand what information assets you have, and then understand the protections you have around those information assets. And there's a lot of frameworks globally that will assist you in this. In the United States, we have the NIST cybersecurity framework. There's ISO standards and other standards. But just because you adhere to a framework doesn't mean you're secure. So understanding what I just said, your information assets, that in and of itself is really a keys to the kingdom analysis, if you will, and taking what those keys to the kingdom are, mapping them to the controls that you have in place, and then doing an analysis on what is the likelihood of initiation of a threat against those assets, and based on the controls, would it be successful? Understanding that fundamentally is key. The last two pieces that I would leave you with from a prophylactic standpoint is If anyone in this audience plays any sports or watches sports, you have an appreciation for how much practice and time and energy goes into being an athlete and playing those sports, whether you're a professional athlete or you're like me, somebody that tries to play on the weekend. The more you practice, the better you get. I highly recommend practicing for cyber attacks. These are things we offer, such as cyber tabletop exercises, where we can do a very detailed one based upon your infrastructure, or we can do a higher level one, or we could go into the weeds with your tech team and work with our partners to design an attack, a zero-day attack against your infrastructure, to watch how it plays out without violating the law, without taking data from you. The more you practice, you form muscle memory, cerebral brain memory around how to react to a threat when it happens. So, of course, tabletop exercises is the last thing. Assessments. It's when I say cybersecurity assessments, it's not pen testing. You have to do all that. What I'm saying is hire people that know how to break in and have them break into your network. Pay them, do that under attorney-client privilege, have a cybersecurity assessment done. They will get in. And all those controls that you think you have in place that work to protect those information assets that I just discussed, they'll test that. And then doing something like that, in my mind, every year, either with your team's knowledge or without your team's knowledge, that's your decision. I would definitely do it under attorney-client privilege if you're in an area like the United States or elsewhere, because you want to protect those results meaning all the gaps that they find in your network. So those are a few things off the top of my head.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so surprised that sometimes organizations have very nice policies and plans, but then when an incident happens, you figure out that that the organization never tested their incident response plan, so they don't know whether it actually works. So, last question, Ron. If a company suffered a cyber attack,
sure,
and you're called, what are the immediate actions to be done?
Sure. So I'm hoping that you can still hear me and that we are not suffering a cyber attack, as the video froze there a little bit, giving me looking like I have Botox or something on my face and freezing again. So I'm going to go off of Botox, but off of video. I think the immediate actions are, one, before that even happens, have relationships with your attorneys, hopefully us, understand that there is legal impact to an incident, period, full stop. And not only relationships with your attorneys, but relationships with third-party vendors that specialize in incident response. We work with the best of the best globally, happy to make recommendations. Understand when that happens, that we call it the break glass moment. Who are you, or the Ghostbusters moment? Who are you going to call, and how quickly you're going to call them? Understanding what they're going to do and how they're going to do it before it happens is very important. When an incident like that happens, depending upon the incident, you might need a ransomware negotiator. Having that relationship beforehand and having maybe a contract in place with them beforehand, you have no time when your house is on fire to actually have time to go through procurement to bring a vendor on. I literally have a client right now that's been having an incident for like the last let's just say couple weeks, and they still haven't signed the contract with the incident response firm that is doing the response. So had they had all that prior to, that would have been a good thing. In the United States, we cannot, to protect it under privilege, the statement of work underneath a contract has to be entered into at the moment that incident response team's brought on. And it's at our direction, it's at the outside counsel DLA's direction. So I think those are a few things off the top of my head. Hopefully that's helpful. And hopefully this video will go back to working. So.
Yeah, indeed. As you said, the worst thing you can do when a cyber attack happens is to be stuck in negotiations with your providers. Also, the negotiating power of your company while you are suffered a cyber attack might be weaker, and you need immediate support. Ron, this chat has been really interesting. Thank you for your insights, and I hope you're going to have a nice Christmas holidays with not too many interruptions,
Yeah.
probably. And thank you again.
Well, same to you, viewing audience. Happy holidays, whatever your holidays may be, and thank you for the opportunity to do this. Please reach out to us if you need anything further after this discussion. And thank you all, and Happy New Year.